All right, 23 till the hour here on the Imus in the Morning program. Bigfoot has some video of Congressman Peter King, who we're going to talk to in a second at the hearing yesterday, wailing on the New York Times. Fired up, Bigfoot.
Finally, let me note that certain elements of the politically correct media, most egregiously the vacuous ideologues of the New York Times, are shamelessly attempting to exploit the horrific tragedy in Norway past Friday to cause me to refocus these hearings away from Muslim American radicalization. If they even had a semblance of intellectual honesty, the Times and the others would know and admit that there is no equivalency in the threat to our homeland from a deranged gunman and the international terror apparatus of al-Qaeda and its affiliates, such as al-Shabaab, who are recruiting people in this country and have murdered thousands of Americans in the jihad attacks.
Very good point there from Congressman Peter King, although it did sound like a remedial reading course. Please welcome to the program now, Congressman Peter King. Good morning, Congressman King.
Don, it's always great to be with you, even if you're still making those ridiculous remarks. When everyone knows I'm one of the most eloquent, articulate members of Congress who tries to put things in terms that even you can understand.
Yeah, and I'm going to run the New York City Marathon in 2:54 this year. So how are you?
I'm doing fine. Things are going well down here in Washington. I don't know how long we're going to be here, trying to resolve the debt ceiling. No, I'm doing fine. Actually, yesterday's hearings went very well. It was very important to have. And, there's 35 to 40 Americans who are already being trained overseas by al-Shabaab. We know they're over there, and we don't know if there's any more over there. These are the ones we know of.
What are you talking about? These Muslim hearings you're having, Muslim terrorist hearings, what are they?
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Well, what hearings are you having?
Hearings on Muslim radicalization. That's what I had. The one you just played. Is your memory so poor?
Oh, yeah, I know that. But what did you produce in the last hearing? Didn't you already do this?
No, these are three separate aspects of the issue. The last hearing we had was on radicalization in the jails. We have an enemy that focuses on many. That was June 15th. And then we had the one back in March, and I was on your show, and we discussed it for about 20 minutes.
Well, what did we discover?
We discovered, first of all, well, I didn't discover a lot because I know most of the stuff to begin with. But the average person in the Congress and also the media were trying to educate them on the fact that al-Shabaab, for instance, yesterday's hearing, that the battleground is now shifted to countries like Yemen and Somalia, where they are recruiting Americans, in many cases, under the radar screen because they know it's very difficult for them to attack us in the 9/11 type attack. So they're recruiting Americans to come back and fight us within the country. And we're showing the extent of that. Now, maybe you claim you were an expert and you knew what al-Shabaab was doing, you knew about the mosques in Minnesota, and you knew about how leaders of al-Shabaab are meeting with leaders of al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, and how before he died, bin Laden was focusing on using al-Shabaab to attack the United States. But not everyone is as brilliant as Don Imus, so that's why I'm trying to bring this out to focus the American people to realize how this threat is metastasizing. Even though bin Laden himself is dead, and al-Qaeda Central itself has been weakened, nevertheless, these franchise operations now pose a great threat to the United States.
Pretty brave attacking me when you're not here in the studio. Well, I get my hands around your fat neck, aren't you? So,
for an old man with a cowboy hat, you have an awful lot to say. By the way, I was with your friend Bo Dietl on Sunday night. We went to the premiere of Danny Aiello's play, The Shoemaker, which, by the way, was a great play. Bo had nothing good to say about you. In fact, he said he's going on your show next week, and I think he's coming after you.
I don't think he's going to do anything of the kind. So, well, don't we? But seriously about the hearings, just briefly.
Yeah, sure.
I do know they're important, but I also wonder. Don't we have the FBI and the CIA to tell us all the information? Don't we know that they're training all over the world? Why do we have to waste taxpayer money and time and your time and everybody else's time holding these hearings? It sounds like, I don't know, it just seems redundant to me.
Well, the purpose of a hearing, first of all, is to bring information together. Secondly, the FBI, by the nature of what it does, is doing criminal investigation. So it can't be talking about everything it's doing from a criminal aspect. Yeah. And what I'm doing from the Homeland Security aspect is bringing in witnesses. These are people on the ground. One was a person who's active in the Muslim community who is of Somali descent, and actually was born in Somalia, and he's showing, again, the extent to which this is penetrating their community. Then we had a former prosecutor who prosecuted about a dozen al-Shabaab cases in Minnesota to show the extent of it. And the idea of a hearing is to focus. Otherwise, but you could say that about almost anything. Congress, why have Armed Services Committee hearings?
Okay, fine. 18 till they are talking with Congressman Peter King. You know what's outrageous?
Tell me.
Is the 9/11 compensation fund. We were talking about this yesterday with the blonde and blonde babes, not covering these cancer victims when. Well, a couple of things. First of all, that's outrageous. Second of all, I mean, even if they didn't produce any absolute scientific evidence that the toxins there, which we all know cause cancer, and there's ample scientific evidence, though no doctors submitted it for these reports, unfortunately. But these people are American heroes, and there's an inordinate number of people who've contracted cancer who were there, and you would think that they, because they're American heroes, that they'd err on the side of helping to cut these people some slack.
Don, I agree with you completely. The decision was terrible. It took us a long time to get that bill through Congress. That was long enough. That was enough to me of suffering for the people who really put so much on the line at ground zero. And now to have the doctor who's head of NIOSH to come out and say that there's not sufficient evidence. I agree with you. I mean, I've known, unfortunately, I'm sure you do, so many people who were down at that pit, who worked there, people in their prime of life, never seen before, now coming down with the rarest form of blood disorders and cancers, rare cancers, clusters of these type cancers. All the rules of probability are that these people incurred the cancer because of their work at ground zero. And I agree with you. The burden of proof should be if a person has cancer and worked at ground zero, then it should be up to the government to prove they didn't have it, not to make
Yes, exactly what my crazy wife said. It's 17 till the hour here in the Imus Morning program. Back to the debt crisis for a second. Yeah. You favor what, briefly?
I'm supporting John Boehner's bill because it will have a total of, it adds up to $2.7 billion in real cuts, and it's going to basically have 1.2 trillion in cuts in the first installment. Then in December we would have a vote on another $1.5 trillion in cuts, and there'd be no tax increases. Most of these cuts in the first set have already been agreed to by the Vice President. Harry Reid's bill, which is not bad, but it doesn't have real cuts. $1 trillion of their cuts are money that he's assuming we're not going to spend in Iraq and Afghanistan, but nobody assumes we're going to spend the money there anyway. So these are sort of phantom cuts. Okay. But I think between Reid and Boehner, I think they can work out something in the next several days. We've almost become a parliamentary system of government in the last week or so. The president is off the sidelines. He's really seemed to lose his ability to lead.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm not a big fan of his, but he does have to kind of let y'all work out your situation here before.
Well, except that here's the difference. He has never put his own plan on the table, and that's why he's not become a major player.
He's busy.
As president, he should be. He's never put his plan out there. Reid has a plan on the table. Boehner has a plan on the table. And the president just talks about, vaguely about some plan, but it's never shown us.
Quarter till the hour here in the Imus Morning program. You're going to conduct an investigation regarding News Corp, that owns the Fox Business Network. Did somebody tell me that?
No, what I did do is when the allegation was made that a retired police investigator said that he was approached by someone from News Corp to hack into the phones of families or those who were killed on 9/11, I asked the FBI to investigate that. To me, that's the only person who should be, the only entity that should be investigating that right now should be the FBI. I have no idea if the allegation is true, but since so many of the allegations that were made have proven to be true, and because I have so many 9/11 families in my district, I believe the important thing was to have the FBI investigate us.
But you're not holding any hearings until there's some evidence, right?
No, and even then, there's a question about whether my committee is the right one. That would probably be more for the Judiciary Committee. No, right now it depends on, I think before anyone has a hearing, it depends on what the FBI finds, and if it turns out there's no evidence, that's the end of it.
Yeah, okay, good. Hey, have you heard from your buddy Anthony Weiner?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Well, why would I? You were friends with him. I just had
him on. I mean,
I had him on the show a couple of times. You were hanging out with him. So
I hung out with him once to show what a good human being I am. That even though we didn't get along, we would sit together during the president's speech. But
you threw him under
some of the stuff he was doing. It just reminded me of you. That's all. That's why I thought maybe. That's all. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you're not here because I've been working out with the weights lately. I'd put an ass whooping on you if you were here. So.
Oh yeah, you're somebody. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear at you, Congressman. But
no, you do. You're just really a very malevolent, evil person. And I'm down here trying to save the country from terrorism, trying to save the country from going broke, working around the clock, beyond what any human being can be expected to do. and all I take is all this nonsense from you. And I think Bo is right. Bo doesn't like you, and I agree with him. By the way, go see Danny Aiello's play The Shoemaker. It's great.
I'm not going to see anything. Stop grandstanding with all these stupid hearings.
Nice guy, Danny Aiello.
I have to go.
Go.
Anyway, thank you very much.
No, it's been all your privilege, believe me.
Good. Get off my phone. Congressman Peter King here in the Imus in the Morning program. Larry King is coming up.